Today we are going to be learning about the product and power rules so that we can rewrite expressions in their simplest form. So the product property is when you multiply two numbers or variables with the same base, you add the exponents, basically. So what we do is we multiply the coefficients, so that's going to be the number in front of the variable. Then we keep the base, so that we're going to keep the variable. Then we're going to add exponents of like bases. So a like base would be x and x, or y and y. And then we are going to simplify the final answer. Remember that we cannot leave any zeros or negative exponents, okay? So, we multiply the numbers out front, the coefficients, so 1 times 1 is 1, so it's still going to be 1. And then we are going to add the exponents of like bases. So x and x, so 2 plus 5 is 7, so this is x to the 7th. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the coefficients, the number in front of x. So 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. X and x, those are like terms. So negative 3 plus 8 is 5. So it's negative 12. Negative 12, x to the 5th. Okay, so we multiply the coefficients, the number in front of our variable. So 3 times negative 1. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Then we have a y. So I'm going to keep my base, adding my exponent. So what exponent is here? 1. So 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus negative 6 is negative 1. Oh, we have a negative. Is the negative touching the negative 15? Is that negative 1 exponent touching that negative 15? No. So my negative 15 is going to remain on top. And my y is going to get moved to the bottom, and it's to the first power, so we do not write y to the first. Okay, we just write y. Okay, we're multiplying the numbers out front, which is just 1, so those are being the same. We're going to keep our bases, so we're going to keep a and b. Now we're just going to add our exponents. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 6. Or not negative 6, negative 5, I'm sorry. I multiplied. Now, 1 plus 7, 8. Okay, so I have a negative with this a. Is this b affected by a negative exponent? No, so my b to the 8th is going to stay on top, and my a to the 5th will get moved to the denominator. Okay, I'm going to skip these two just for time purposes. We can maybe come back to make the term at the end. I'm going to do these on the list so we see fractions. Okay, so I'm going to multiply my numbers out front. So 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, now I have an x, a y, and a z. I always just keep my bases, and then I'm going to add my exponents next. Okay, so I just can do that. So at my x, I have a raised to the first power, and this x is raised to the second power, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, y to the negative 2, there's not another y, so it's still going to be y to the negative 2. Z squared, and z to the negative third, so 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. Okay, so now I need to rewrite so I don't have negatives. So my 3 and my x to the third are still remaining on top. However, my y squared is going to get moved to the bottom, and my z is going to get moved to the bottom. And it's to the first power, so I do not raise the exponent. I am going to do that second one there. I just realized. All right, so my base is 4, right? They're the same. So I can just leave that as a 4. And then I can add 3 plus 5 is 8, and then I can solve. 4 to the 8th is, I think it's 6, 4, 4, 5.
Is 6, 5, 5, 3, 6.
Sorry. 6, 5, 5, 3, 6. All right, thank you. All right. So we multiply the numbers out front. So 1 times 1 is 1, so that's just 1, so x. And then I'm adding my exponents. Okay, are these like terms? Or not like terms, common denominator? No, so I need to have a common denominator when I'm adding. So what could be my common denominator? 12. So that becomes 12 to the, and that would be 9, right? And plus, and that would be 4 12s. 9 plus 4 is 13, so this would be 13 over 12. So we can write this as a fraction and the exponent, or on like an EOC or the SMT or something like that, if there's a multi-select question, they could rewrite it as a radical. So you just have to keep that in mind, which that would look like this. So we've done that beforehand. So that would be like a multi-select problem where they'd have this answer and this answer because those are the same. Remember where our exponent is the top number, the bottom numbers are indexed? Yeah. All right, we're going to skip that problem for now. Okay, working backwards. So when we work backwards, we're going to think about our rule. Our rule here, we have the same base, so we add our exponents to equal the exponents. So I can just add my exponents. So 3 plus x plus negative 4 would have to equal 5, right? And I'm trying to find what x would be. So I'm just going to combine like terms. So I get negative 1 plus x equals 5. Add 1 to both sides. X equals 6. Okay, so I'm looking for what n would be here. In order for me to do that, it would be n plus 3 would equal, how would this x get to the bottom? It would have had to be negative, right? And does it have an exponent? No, so it's 1, so it's going to be negative 1. So that means that n plus 3 has to equal negative 1. So then I can just subtract 3 from both sides. So n would have to be negative 4. Because negative 4 plus 3 would give me a negative 1. So this would be like an x to the negative 1, which would then move it to the base of my answer. So that's working backwards. So that's the product rule. Here's another application of this. So the side of a square is 4a. Find the area of the square. So the area of a square, that formula is area equals side squared. Or area equals side times side, however you want to do it. So if we did that, area equals side times side, let's just do that, it would be 4a times 4a, right? And then we multiply our coefficients, the numbers out front, so 4 times 4 is 16, and then what is my exponent here? 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So that becomes 16, and then a squared. That would be my area. Okay, the power property. The power property is basically you're raising a power to another power. And what we do, we multiply them. Or we kind of like distribute the power to all the terms on the inside. So the first thing that we have to do is distribute the power to all parts of the term. So if it's inside of a parenthesis, every single thing gets that power. Then we evaluate power of the coefficient. Okay, so that's going to be the number out front. We're going to raise that to that power. Then we're going to keep the basis. Okay, multiply the exponents. So if a power is raised to a power, we're multiplying. Okay, and then we're going to simplify our answer. So basically, if we have any zeros or negatives, we need to move them into their correct spot. Okay, so I don't have any coefficients, so I don't need to do that. So I'm having x to the third raised to the fourth. So I have a power raised to a power, so I'm going to multiply here. So 3 times 4 is 12. So this becomes x to the 12. Okay? So here I have x to the first that's also being raised to a 2. So it's 1 times 2, so that would be 2. So this is going to be x squared. Then y is negative 5 times 2, which is negative 10. So I have a negative exponent, so I need to simplify that. So it is going to become the denominator. Okay, so this 3 it's raised to the first power, right? So 1 times 3 is 3, so this can become 3 to the third. And then x is raised to the third power, but then raised again to the third power, so 3 times 3 is 9. And then what is 3 raised to the third power? 27. So this becomes 27x to the 9th. So we're basically distributing out that exponent on the outside. So my negative 2 is going to be raised to the negative 4th power. My x is raised to the negative 2nd, which is going to be multiplied by negative 4, which is negative or positive 8, right? And then y, 4 times negative 4 is going to be negative 16. Okay, so now I have negative exponents. So I need to eliminate my negative exponents. So they just need to get moved to the denominator. But my x to the 8th is going to stay on top. Still going to have negative 2 raised to the 4th and y to the 16th. And then what is negative 2 to the 4th? Try that again. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, I got it. I don't know where my notes are at. 16, sorry. 16. And then y to the 16th. And then that's my final answer. Okay. Okay, 5 is raised to the third, and then it's being raised to the 7. So that's going to become 5, and then 3 times 7 is 21. I could, if this was like a nicer number, like square or something like that, or like something smaller, we probably would simplify it out, but that's a nicer way to put it. If you have 5 to the 21st power, it's a really big number. So we're just going to leave it like that. Okay? Alright, so I need to distribute out my 2. So 2 times x to the first is going to be x squared. And then y, okay, so 2 times 3 is 6, so this becomes y to the 6/8, which can be reduced to y to the 3/4. Again, that could be written as a radical as well, because of it being a fraction. So we can leave it as a fraction. It didn't ask us to put it in radical form. Okay, so 16 is being raised to the 1/2. Okay, and then 1/2 times 2 is going to be 1. So that's just going to be x. Okay, so this one I do have to turn into a radical because it's the only way that I can solve it, simplify it. Okay, so that's going to become 16 on the inside of my radical, and then my exponent's 1, and then my index is 2, so it's just a square. But we still have the x on the outside, so what is 16 squared? Square root. Square root of 16. 4. So it becomes 4x. So 16x squared, all raised to the 1/2, becomes 4x. Yes.
How do you know to square root it?
Because it's a fraction, and I turned it into, that's the first lesson that we did on Monday, or Wednesday. All right, so combining the rules. Oh no, backwards, I'm sorry. Working backwards.
Yay.
When we're raising a power to a power, we multiply, so this is going to be 3 times x will equal 18, so that would be 3x equals 18. So we're going to divide by 3, x is going to equal 6. Okay, so I'm looking for n, and it becomes a positive 4, so that means that negative 1n will equal 4. So I'm going to divide by negative 1. So n is going to equal negative 4. Because negative 4 times negative 1 would give me a positive 4. Now, combining rules. We follow order of operations. So we apply the power principle first, because we do exponents first, okay? Then we multiply the expressions, and then we're going to add our exponents. And then we're going to simplify, get rid of any negatives and zeros. Okay. So this is going to become 4 to the 3rd. 2 times 3 is 6, and then this is going to be y to the 3rd. And then it's going to be times x to the negative 5th. Okay, 4 to the 3rd is 64. I still have x to the 6th, y to the 3rd, times x to the negative 5th. Now, is my 60, I'm going to multiply my exponents, or my coefficients. So 64 times 1 is 64. Okay, I have an x and an x. I'm going to keep my base. 6 plus negative 5 is 1. So let's go raise to the first power. I don't have anything to multiply y by, so it's just y to the 3rd. Okay. Keep my negative out front here. I'm going to do my exponent rule first. This becomes 3 squared and x squared. And this is going to become 7 squared and x to the 8th. Okay, and what is 3 squared? 9. And I still have x squared. And what is 7 squared? 49. And I still have x to the 8th. Now we're going to multiply our coefficients, the number out front. So negative 9 times 49 is negative 441. And then we're going to add our exponents. So 2 plus 8 is 10. Okay, we're gonna apply our power principle first. So -3 is gonna be raised to the -3rd. C is gonna be raised to the -3rd. And D is gonna be raised to the 3rd. Okay, my -1 is being raised to the square. So -1 times -1 is gonna be, what? What's -1 times -1? +1. So my negative is going away there. And this becomes D squared. Okay, then I need to evaluate here. Okay, I have a negative exponent and a negative exponent. So those need to get moved to the bottom. Okay, but I can multiply my D's, right? 3 and 2, so that would be 5. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have -3 raised to the 3rd and C raised to the 3rd. Okay, and so what is 3 raised to the 3rd? 27. And I don't know what C is, so that's just going to be to the 3rd. So it should be negative, sorry, -27. Because of it being a -3. Okay, so 6 is being squared, and A is going to be to the 8th. Okay, my 1 is going to be squared, my 4 is going to be squared, and my A is going to be to the 6th. Okay, so what is 6 squared? 36. 1 squared is 1, 4 squared is 16. Okay, then we're going to multiply our coefficients. So 36 times 116 is going to become 36 over 16. And I add my exponents, so A to the 8th. I can reduce 36 over 16 to 9/4 and A to the 14th. Or, not 14th, oh, this should have been 8, I'm sorry. This should be 14. Sorry, that's a 14. Okay. Okay, my -6 is going to be raised to the 2, so the -6 is going to be squared. My S to the 3rd is also being raised to the square, so it's going to be 3 times 2, which is 6. And T to the 1st is being squared as well, so that's going to be 1 times 2, which is 2. Okay, times my other one here, so 2 is being raised to the 3rd. S squared is being raised to the 3rd, so 2 times 3 is 6. And T to the 4th is being raised to the 3rd, so 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, then I'm going to multiply or get rid of my coefficient exponents. So -6 squared, -6 times -6 is going to be positive 36. And 2 raised to the 3rd is 8. Then we are going to multiply our coefficients out front. So 36 times 8 is 288. We're going to add our exponents. So 6 plus 6 is 12. 2 plus 12 is 14. And that is its most simplest form. Okay, I'm raising this fraction here, so I'm gonna be multiplying, so I'm gonna have x to the 2/3 and y to the 6/4. And then I don't have an exponent here, so it's gonna be the same thing. My coefficient's 1, so I don't need to multiply it. So now I am adding my exponents. So 2/3 plus 1/3 is gonna give me 3/3, which is the same thing as 1. And then I have to have a common denominator here. So I'm gonna turn this into 8/12. So 12 plus 3 is 15/8. And that can't be reduced, so that is my answer.
Why did you put it in 12?
So we have a common denominator. 8. To add 6/4 to 3/8, I have to have a common denominator of 8. So I made it into 12/8. Okay. So our geometric application. So the radius of a cylinder is 4a, the height of the cylinder is 5a. Find the volume of the cylinder. So volume of a cylinder is volume equals pi r squared h. We're going to substitute our values in for r and h. So our volume is going to equal pi. Our radius is 4a. And our height is 5a. Okay, so I need to distribute that exponent. So I'm just going to leave pi as pi. So that's going to become 4 squared and a squared. And I still have 5a here. So what is 4 squared? 16. A squared minus 5a. So then I need to multiply my 16 times 5, which I will get 80. And 1 plus, I'm sorry, 2 plus 1 is 3. I like to rewrite with my number out front. You can leave pi as just pi, but I like it so it would be volume equals 80 pi a to the third, because we can rewrite, because that is our associated property, where we can rewrite it. Or you could take 80 and multiply it by pi and get approximately 251 a to the third.